Hello everyone, this is Mr. Alberonen here again. In this video we're just going to quickly talk about some of Slayer's frame data, because although it's fun to be like, unga bunga, this quick, this plus, this whatever, it does actually help to have some numbers in your head, even though it's not completely important in this game, because mashing works very well. Like knowing, for example, how plus something is to know what you can mash against it with, whether you are Slayer or Slayer's opponent, it's pretty useful. So we're just going to cover some of the main frame data points with Slayer. Starting off with possibly the most important one, bar slash. Now this is an 11 frame move that is +4 on block, which means when Slayer is doing stuff like this, the opponent can mash out of it with a 7 frame or faster move. So here I have Slayer going for his own standing K, so as long as I time this correctly, this is going to trade, because it's exactly 7 frames before this will hit, because 11 minus 4 is 7. But as you can see, you have to hit pretty perfectly, and if you do trade, it's actually pretty good for the opposing Slayer, because he can actually convert off of this, so it's probably preferable that they use a 6 framer or faster, which for Slayer he also has. His crouching light kick is exactly 6 frames, so it's a perfect way of interrupting this offense. So if Slayer is really just trying to mash on his far slash, basically every character can interrupt them in the game with one of their reasonably fast normals. It doesn't even have to be their 2p, because if their 2p doesn't reach far enough, that's not going to be useful. So a lot of 2ks or standing ks will be able to interrupt this. But now, as the opposing Slayer, now that we know that this is +4, that means we know we can go for things like standing slash into our kick buttons, and that's practically guaranteed. Because this is +4, and this is 6 frames, the opponent does not have a 2 frame button to interrupt fast slash into 2k, so that's practically a guaranteed link. Even from further, doing it far away into a far standing K, that's practically interruptible because the opponent doesn't have a 3 frame normal, generally, or especially not one that reaches from this distance. And now that you know you can jail your far slash into your 2k or 5k into 2D, that means you can start doing some other things like going for your 2S to bring them in closer enough to go for your command grab, or just 2S into this for some pressure. Or you can just start mashing this over and over again. If the opponent thinks that you're going to jail into your 5k or something, go for that. Slide in, roller skate in with your sweep. You have a lot of options once you know the opponent is going to respect you. And above all else, know that this is your fast slash, so no matter what offense you're going for, you always have the option of going for your 5H and interrupting anything the opponent tries to press, because that is always going to be a guaranteed block string. So fast slash, 11 frames and +4. And also +7 on hit, which is why it can specifically link into your K buttons very easily. Nothing slower, you can link into things faster, but your K buttons are the best thing you can link off of it. 6 framer or a 7 framer from your +7 normal on hit. Your 2S is -11 on block, so although some of the trailers made you believe that this was kind of some interesting pressure you can go for, it is pretty risky, because if the opponent tries to mash, they can easily mash on anything you try to do after this. Now of course it does have the potential to go into an H button, which you can, jail or frame trap, but just really be careful pressing this on its own, because it is really quite punishable. And the opponent can react to nothing happening and just throw you, so be careful, but if it works, it works. The next interesting move we have is his 6k. Now this is a slow 28 frame overhead, but it is +2 on block and +6 on hit. So even if the opponent blocks this overhead, I can mash my buttons afterwards and I'll beat them. And if they get hit by it, well, it's +6, so that means I can exactly link into my 2k 2D. 6H is interesting because it's, one of our main combo normals that links into pile bunker and stuff, but it is actually surprisingly safe on block. If you just do this on its own, which, a lot of the times you should, because a lot of people are trying to jump out of Slayer's pressure and stuff, and this is a good thing for keeping them back on the ground. You can cancel your Ps or your Ks into this, even though it doesn't combo. It's a good way of keeping them on the floor. And even if you just do it on its own without cancelling into any of your dandy steps, it's just -3. With a decent amount of pushback, you don't really have to be scared of anything. The opponent is able to press on their P buttons on you. It's really something you can just throw out quite a lot, and don't worry about just leaving it and not cancelling into anything. Now, unfortunately, his 2D is very unsafe. It's -15 on its own, so you do want a kind of half hit confirm / block confirm, because if the opponent does block it, you really want to cancel into your P Mappa Hunch to keep yourself safe. But if you are trying to go for some cool pressure and stuff, if you do see that it hits, you kind of don't want to go for that, because that kind of gives you really crappy Oki. You don't really get anything at all. So if you do see that they get hit, then I get to go for my cool pressure. But if they block it, quickly cancel into my Mappa Hunch. Speaking of Mappa Hunch, let's talk about this move now. It is -1 on block, so completely, utterly, completely safe. Nothing the opponent can do about it. You are very close to each other though, so do be scared that they might be doing a micro step forward into a throw or something. Or just mashing with their P buttons. It is their turn, but, you know, depending on how you're feeling, this could be a good opportunity to just mash on your 2 Ps if you're feeling in the mood, which a lot of people are often. And it's +2 on hit, so that's not, you know, at plus, but it's plus enough that you can press some buttons and it'll interrupt the opponent trying to do anything else. So, really good button for just kind of mashing, to be honest. Now, unfortunately, the K version of Mappa Hunch does leave you so close that the opponent can actually throw you. It's only -2, so it's almost completely safe, but it can be thrown if you're close. Whereas the P version left you a little bit further away, and it's also only -1. So it's safe to throws. The K version, if you do it right in the opponent's face, if they know how to punish it with the throw, they will, and it's very easy to. But if you just space it out a little bit, it becomes a lot safer, where even if the opponent does try to throw you, you'll be able to tech the throw. If you space it out even more, their throw may not even connect, then you don't have to worry about it. And from such distances, it actually can become plus on block. So from approximately 2 backdash distances from round start, this thing can become plus on blocks. If you space it out well as a random neutral tool, you can actually force your offense afterwards. Good to know. Now, the only difference frame data-wise between your Dandy Step P and K is that P is 34 frames and K is 40 frames. But that's only if you let it rock. The amount of time it takes to go into each of the follow-ups, whether it's the overhead, the low, or whatever, is going to be the same no matter which version you use. So going for combos that involve either of these are going to link the exact same no matter what it is, as long as the opponent is close enough, that's assuming. But the only thing that'll change is if you're going for things where you just do the step on its own. So see, for stuff like this, if I go for this into my close slash cancel here, I'm not going to be able to do that from the 8K version. The K version is just a little bit too slow that the opponent is fully knocked down by the time I get close to them. So, slight difference, but doesn't mean anything in combos. And the amount of frames it takes to go into any of your Dandy Step follow-ups is 17 frames. So Pile Bunker, for instance, is a 5-framer, so 17 plus 5 is the amount of frames it takes to go into Pile Bunker. That's why a lot of your buttons into Pile Bunker is a frame trap, because it's 22 frames, effectively. Cancelling from a heavy of that is going to be a frame trap. But going for something slightly less, you know, advantageous or less of a higher block normal, that's not going to work. The overhead and low follow-ups are both specifically 13 frames, and the big wallop, the Master's Hammer, is 25 frames. So pretty slow, but it is very plus. It is plus 26 on block, while the rest of the follow-ups are -2. Both the overhead and the low basically have the exact same frame data in that sense. They're both -2, they both 13 frames, plus the 17 frames. And by the way, Pile Bunker is -14, so pretty easy to punish for most of the cast, especially from that distance. Now, the Hand of Doom, which is your backdash into forward S, is an interesting move. At its fastest, it is 12 frames, but of course you can do it later on into your backdash to make it a little slower and come in from further. And as you can see, it is -7, which is, you know, on the brink of punishable from this distance. So if I do it really close to my opponent, they can be able to punish me with the 2P or 2K, 2D. But if I'm a little further away from my opponent, like this, their 6-framers are not really gonna connect against me. Even a lot of 7-framers, except for maybe Slayer, are not gonna connect from here. So as long as you don't do it really close to the opponent's face, there is a chance that this could be safe and you won't have to RC to keep yourself safe. Oh, and on hit it is also -4, so if you are trying to get anything from this, and it's not a counter hit from a throw or anything, you really have to RC anyways to get a full combo. Super Mappa Hunch is 14 frames before the invincibility flash and just 1 frame up to the invincibility flash. So that's why if you see anything happening on the screen when he's doing the slowdown, you know it's going to hit the opponent. Last Horizon is 9 frames before the screen flash, but only 2 frames from the closest before it hits the opponent. So it is very easy to link in combos, but it isn't any kind of wake up or grab or anything. But there's a chance that you could interrupt or punish things with this and get a ridiculous amount of damage for it. Other than that, the only few things to note are that he doesn't have a full framer, his P buttons are at 5 frames at minimum, and also his backdash is pretty bad in terms of invincibility, it's only 1 to 6. So it doesn't seem to work too well at getting out of things, but it's a decent backdash, especially since you have this follow-up, which makes it pretty unique. So that's some simple snippets of Slayer's frame data. Pretty good, especially things like far slash. But yeah, keep some of that in mind, and I'm sure it'll make you play better, or play better against him. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!